So I find a good day to change my rubbers is at the end of the week or the start of the week. So if you, whatever day you stop working, and you're gonna have a few days off and start back again, a good day is, the day before, is to check your rubbers, make sure there's no damage to them, and if there is, change them, change the rubber, or swap the size of the rubber. So generally, from anything from a week to 2 weeks on my most used squeegees, which is normally the 16 inch, 14 inch, and a 10, and the 6. They're my, during the week, the most used rubbers or sizes, squeegee sizes. So they're the ones that I really need to check. The ones that I don't check so much are the 12 inches and the 8 inches and the 22 inches. But all the tools that I've got here, my 4 general sizes that I use, I'm going to change them because they all have a little bit of rubber burring. Now my most used rubber, this has gone through hundreds and hundreds of windows this side, and that is the damage. There isn't too much damage there, but I would still like to, there's that, you can see that that rubber has been pulled back a bit, so that needs readjusting anyway, but I can't really get it to focus. But there's some damage there, and that's enough for me want to change this rubber. But I only need to swap the sides over, so it's still a little bit wet. So what I'm going to do is take the channels out, grip the rubber, and I've got a pair of pliers with me because I just find it easier to insert these paper clips. So someone today, last night, suggested what they should put in to wedge their rubber. So let's just take this rubber out first. But these are the 3.0 end clips that are quite tight, but still not tight enough to really clamp that rubber, but it's tight to thread the rubber in. Right, so that rubber was already cut. I did a previous video on cutting the rubber, so I just need to place it in the right position. Now that rubber is not being used, so there's a brand new rubber for me. So these are the preferred things that I like to use. Paper clips, they don't cost anything. I find paper clips throughout the week in my job. You can even find them on the floor. So I just pick them up and I keep them as spares. I just use pair of pliers, cut about 2 centimeters off, and using pair of pliers, they're very easy to just insert here. Just shove it in there. It's still a little bit damp, and that's easily inserted. Now that's really tight. So what that's going to do is stop that rubber from ever really pulling, snagging out when you hit an abrasive seal, rubber seal. So there's the other one. I like the plastic coated ones because they're just a little bit thicker. Just wedges that rubber even tighter than just the width of the metal. But if you can get a thicker metal paper clip, then that will be just as good. And the good thing about the plastic is, if you're doing it with your fingers, you've got less chance of it spiking your skin, because obviously it can be sharp rubber, metal. So just put that back in there, and that one's done. See that the rubber is aligned and it's all flush, and I'll go on to the next one. So all my rubbers are actually wet. So I got forwarded several weeks ago to a guy in Japan who modifies his squeegee channels, and what he does is he makes his own plastic end clips. And although it's quite ingenious what he did, I suggested to him that this was done 10 years ago, modifying channels. You don't need to modify channels anymore. All you need to do is get these channels, the liquidators, and work with them. Although he does work with them, he still thought it was a good idea to modify other channels. Very similar scenario to the guy that I mentioned about swapping channels over with the end clips. It's just a pointless video. What I suggested to him was, if he put that much effort into the way that he performed, instead of wasting his and everybody's time watching his videos and him making his videos pointless. He's absolutely pointless. The only credit I can give him is, yeah, he made his own end clips, but what has he made? He's made an end clip that is not as proficient and as precise as this. And there you go, number 2 done, nice and flush at the ends. We go on to the next one. It's just a waste of time. And if he spent that much time and effort on perfecting his way of working, then he could use only these tools, because the windows that he was working on were all suitable for liquidator work. But he just wants to use all the different brands of squeegees out there, working longer, harder, slower, getting less results. The only other credit I could give him, he uses 2 hands. But using 2 hands is the bare minimum of being a good performing window cleaner. The way that he works with his tools are, he's making far too many moves. He hasn't got the soap solution that really will allow him to get to the next level of window cleaning. So, he'll spend 10 minutes making a video showing how to mold your own end clips, and all the people watching that video probably will have no chance of replicating what he's just done, because they don't have the pellets, because he had to melt down the plastic pellets. These, how they're made is, they're just little balls of plastic. They're melted down, and the mold, this is a mold. So he's not got a mold, but he's got the plastic pellets to melt down with his heat gun. Who's got a heat gun? Well, I've got a heat gun, but most people don't have a heat gun, and nobody's got the plastic pellets to melt down. So really, it's just a video that to make himself look plausible. And I said, I made a comment. I don't get the notifications from his comments, so I checked it 2 weeks later, and he did reply in Japanese, and he wasn't really happy with what I said. And basically, I just replied back to him saying, spend more time on perfecting your way of working, modify your own way of working, focus on yourself rather than the tool. Just like I said in the previous videos, there's another paper clip here. It's not got plastic coating on it, but it's quite long, and if you haven't got a very thick paper clip, you can just use a longer paper clip, and that will still be beneficial because it will still clamp. Now this one here is a much fatter one, so I don't need it as long. Yeah, spend more time on perfecting the way you work. We're in 2022 now, and my advice to anybody, no matter what tool you're using, is focus on yourself. Don't focus on your tool. Don't modify your tool. Modify the way you work. In 2012, yeah, modify your tool. I was still learning and gaining experience with the way that I was working, but we're in 2022 now. There's no need to waste your time modifying any channel, because you won't get another channel that's going to work as good as this. Just get as good as you can with these tools. You don't need any other tools. The only other tool you'll probably need is if you're really working on the worst of the worst type frames. They're so abrasive, then you might need a more of a standard channel. But for me, where I work in the UK, all the jobs that I've got, none of them have bad frames. They have hard to work on frames, but not bad frames that's going to destroy my rubber. So my rubbers last me 1 to 2 weeks per side, and I like to change my rubbers at the start of the week because I'm going to go to work again tomorrow. I've got fresh rubbers, a fresh start, and yeah, that's the video for this. Paper clips, use some pliers, change your rubbers, check your rubbers regularly, and you should be fine. And don't waste your time modifying your tools.